All right, here we go. Once more stepping into the pocket dimension where we will paint all the things right here with me, JP Gotrokkits. Halfway decent, mostly mediocre painter, but I am an enthusiastic amateur, and I hope to pass on some of that enthusiasm to you. Those of you who have decided to spend the next couple of hours with me while I work on my monthly monster, which is always available to my as a perk. We do a drawing each month here on Twitch to see which of my erstwhile subscribers on Twitch. Now that's a Twitch subscriber, which is different than a subscriber on YouTube. It's actually somebody that actually supports the channel by subscribing. I have to put the cat out of the pocket dimension. Out, beast, out, out. The way is shut. Chaos and treachery. CAT stands for chaos and treachery. CAT. I've tried to have him in here before, but it doesn't quite work out. So, anyhow, what I was getting at is right here on Twitch, I have the monthly monster support level, where if you support the channel on Twitch, you are automatically eligible for the drawing for the monthly monster. There's no guarantee, but the only real thing about it is that you can't win twice in a row. You have to let somebody else win. So that's the only thing. So if you're there twice in a row, you're ineligible. Well, you can't win twice in a row. You have to. So you can win twice, just not two months in a row. So I would have to not enter you in the second month. Anyhow, what I'm getting at is it's a great way to support the channel, support me, support living artists, because the dead ones don't need the money. But the thing is I'm out here doing an instructable, just showing that anybody can paint. Anybody can paint. If I can paint, anybody can paint. And it's really not, you don't really have to have artistic talent, because painting miniatures is really more about applying a process, okay? And using methods. It's the same thing we do at work, right? We apply processes and methods at work. This does take a little bit of sense of feel and kind of get an idea how the paint flows. But once you've learned that, you can do anything. I tell people to treat the subject that you're painting like the page of a coloring book. It's just that, unlike a coloring book, the lines are made by where your surfaces meet up. And that's just a matter of taking a look and being aware of your model, of your figure. It's really not that difficult. Like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's not like anybody's asking you to actually sculpt the figure. So you don't have to worry about some arcane level of artistic talent to do this. It's really just a matter of applying the process. So that's all it is. So this last weekend, I was in West Virginia at the Lonely Hero Games. At the Lonely Heroes game Glade Gaming Retreat, and I ran a paint and take, which running paint and takes is highly rewarding to me. I love seeing people try the hobby out for the first time. And that's where I get a lot of objections. Oh, I can't do that. I don't have any I don't have any artistic skill. Well, again, we won't go over that again, but I've had people just sit down and paint, and I give them a few pointers, a few tips, a few little tricks, and I have got them painting in however long they decide to devote to the project right there, whether it takes them an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Um, they are well on their way to being able to paint miniatures for fun. It's really not as hard as people make it out to be. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I have been called an artist by some. I do enjoy. I've always enjoyed drawing and the like, but as far as there are some people out there who are really amazing at this. Names like Marco Frizzoni, Eric Swinson, Matt DiPietro, Neil Duffy. I mean, all these people are Sam Lenz. All these people are award-winning painters who I could never compete with, so I don't. I don't really enter competitions by any means. I don't know if I did enter competitions, if I would do it every year. Sometimes what will happen is with a competition, they will give you some good advice on what you need to do to get to the next step for the next year, but I don't know that I would necessarily. And I would just be happy to get a commendation, if I were to enter. But they kind of expect that if you do it this year, that you do it the next year. Not really expect. There's no. They're not keeping score on it. But some people like to enter those competitions and gauge their skills against others, which is fine. I'm just not about that life. So, but it is a good way to judge your own progress, where you want to be. And everybody's hobby adventure is different. So, some people paint just to have something pretty to put on their table to play with. Some people want to get to a display level and spend loads and loads of hours on a single piece. Me, I want somewhere in between. I want something that is nice to look at, but also is quick enough to where if we put this, I could put this out on the table in a quick manner. So that's the plan anyway. But this is the Wizkids Green Dragon, Young Green Dragon, which is this month's monthly monster offering. So but if you're watching on YouTube, how about throwing a like in there, giving the old thumbs up? That never hurts, always helps. Like, if you haven't subscribed yet, by all means, subscribe here on the YouTube. That's fine too. That would help. Support living artists any way you can. Like, share, subscribe. Those are free. Follow on Twitch. That's also free if you're watching on Twitch. If you do want a shot at winning a small, beautifully painted figure, okay, a small, mediocre painted figure, a monthly monster with a monstrous looking paint job, which some people like. Some people feel like it's a good exchange, good value there. You can feel free to subscribe on Twitch and support the channel that way. But just your being around, you're being here, I'm glad you're here. If you're watching, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, and there are, out of the few people that do watch, only about 20% are actually subscribed. So, hey Midril, how's it going? Let's see. I don't know, Midril. I have no idea. Even the ads are taking shots. Wow, I don't know. I'm not in charge of what ads they put on the Twitch. How you doing, Midril? How's it going? What have you been painting this week? What are you painting this week? You're going to be painting here this evening in a little bit, aren't you? I think you start up in a little while. I think you're on tonight, aren't you? Folks, if you're not following Midril, you should follow Midril, who is got a real talent for the hobby. They are doing some nice work over on their channel. I have been fighting a bit of a cold. Feeling a little bit better tonight. I think I picked up something at the gaming convention this last weekend. So, but it is what it is, you know. So I'm just working on this green dragon from Wizkids. It is my monthly monster offering. So just trying to add a little bit more green to these heavy plates on the back. They kind of came out a little darker, a little closer to black than I wanted. I mixed in some dark gray, and it got a little darker than I had anticipated. So I'm just trying to bring it back up a little bit, maybe with almost a green glaze. Then I'll do some highlights on the edges of it, just to kind of make it look a little worn out. Yeah, I mean, I am feeling a little bit better. Still a little congested in the chest. I feel that, but most of the sinus pressure is gone. That could just be the Sudafed, though. But I wanted to be back on here because I did I skipped last Thursday's stream because I was getting ready to get some things together for the paint and take, so I had to get that stuff all squared away. So, all right. So that's looking pretty good. Oh, thank you. All right, so what's next here? So there's these little scaly bits down there, which are pretty good. They're sort of greenish gray. They're looking good. they're looking pretty good. So let me add a little gray to this green. And we'll just go up a little bit of a half step here. Actually, since we're working in triads, and we're using the green triad, the dark green triad from Reaper, let's just see what happens here. So the next one up is the leaf green from 9011. So we started out, our base coat is 09010 pine green, and these are the Reaper Master Series paints. So let's go up to the mid-tone with the leaf green, 09011. And we'll just do a little bit of light, we'll do a little bit of overbrushing. So I'm going to dig out the dry brush kit here. This is the Golden Maple dry brush kit. I think it was like $15 on Amazon. It's not bad. It does tend to hold some of the color after you're done washing it off, but I mean I think they're wool bristles as opposed to something else. Oh yeah, the MSP paints are really nice. They're also really great for doing paint and takes because you don't really have, they're fairly thin out of the bottle. You don't have to really do a lot of work to get them to work for you. So they're a nice beginner to intermediate paint product. There's a lot of great paints out there right now. Oh, that's pale green. I don't want pale green. I want leaf green. So leaf green, 9011. 09011. So we're going to get the leaf green out here. Got a little bit of the ketchup water striations in there, but you'll have that. These have been sitting for a while. It's been a long time since I've used this triad. But we're going to load up the old dry brush here. And we're going to get off most of the color out of that brush, as you do. And we're just going to pick a spot and start. So, and that's more of an overbrush. I'm not really trying to get quite as limited a color on here as, say, I would with a true dry brush. So this is more of an overbrush, just to try to leave some of the deeper color down in the deepest recesses. And it's just building up nicely. Now the belly, I think I may do a little bit of a different color, but I want to get a lot of these, a lot of this texture on here. A lot of the scale texture is what I'm going for. 09336 green. Oh, let's see. Leaf bud green is one of my highlight go-tos. Yes. This is the pale green, so it's 09012. So the lady that designed these designed everything to work numerically, so they've got them lined up numerically. But I could see that the probably the leaf bud green probably has a little more yellow in it. This is a little more blue, so it kind of fits in with this triad a little bit better. But definitely, you're right. I can see the leaf bud green probably working very well. Probably even going up one more step in this level of highlight colors. So that's my thought. I think you're onto something there, Midril. Definitely. Definitely onto something there. But there's a lot of great paints these days. It's kind of, I like to tell people it's important to find ones that work for you, um, because everybody will tell you that their paints are the best. Quite honestly, it's just what works for you. And the truth of the matter is that you're probably going to have a wide range of different paints in your collection as you go along in your hobby adventure. I've got paints from Reaper. I've got old Citadel paints. I've got new Citadel paints. I've got the Coat d'Arms, which is the old line of Citadel. I've got some P3 paints, the original P3 paints. I've got um, I've got Reaper. I've got Vallejo. I've got older Army Painter. Um, and they all work for me. Even the old Army Painter, believe it or not, works pretty good. You just need to know how to work it. A lot of people didn't like them at the time. Thought they were this just the discount cheap, the the acrylic craft paint of hobby paints, right? But they've come a long way over the last year or so with their new Fanatic paint line, which are really nice. Of course, I've also got some. I don't have any of those yet, just because I don't need them. Um, but I've also got uh, Monument Pro Acryl, Pro Acryl, however you want to call it, which is really fine, really fine paint, I have to say. So, Vallejo, Sidel, MSP, and a few one-offs of things like Two Thin Coats and Pro Acryl. All right. I've not had a chance to try the Two Thin Coats. Um, it is sort of available in my in my region. I know a store that has it, but I didn't feel compelled to buy any because I've got all the colors that I need that they've already got in there. So I didn't see anything that really jumped out at me. Actually, that's a lie. I did buy one bottle of, I think it was a bone color, like a dusty white gray bone color that was really interesting. But of course, I couldn't tell you where it is right now. And it's okay to go ahead and use your finger to wipe off places that you don't want your paint to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just see what happens when I go with this this mid-tone green over the edges of these heavy scales up here. Whether it's going to look good or not, I don't know. I don't know. But don't be afraid to experiment as you go along in your hobby adventures, folks. It's just paint, you can't mess it up. As long as you maintain good paint control and don't glob it on there. If it doesn't work for you, if it's not giving you the results that you want, you're more than welcome to change those results. Just let it dry and paint right over it. It's just paint. It can't hurt you. You can't hurt it. You can't get it wrong by any means. Just paint. You can't ruin something with paint. Right, exactly. That's right. It's just paint. You can't ruin anything. I like what Brent and Casey say. They've got their little podcast called Paint Bravely. So that's what it's kind of my kind of copy that when I talk to people, especially at paint and takes. I say, paint bravely. What do you want it to look like? Paint with intention. Where do you want to paint to take you? Because the thing is people think that it's hard, but it really isn't. All they have to do is kind of mentally put a picture in their mind of what they want it to look like at the end, and they will get there. Because here's the thing. You already know what to do. If the most basic thing that you know about painting is to thin paints. I mean, and anybody that's done any like painting at their house, and I'm talking about like painting a room or painting a house or painting a barn, or the kind of summer jobs most people have growing up, or they may even do it in real life. Maybe they own a house or whatever, and they have to, or they've wanted to sell a house that they live in, so they paint a couple of rooms to bring them up to a more saleable position. Everybody knows to thin your paints. Everybody knows that. It's just kind of a cultural thing at this point. Anybody that's, generally anybody that's over 12 understands the concept of thinning their paints. That's usually what I find. And that's not a knock against 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds. It's just kids just generally don't think about thinning their paints like that. So, but that's one thing I do like about the Reaper paints is they are a little thinner out of the bottle anyway. So that's not a bad thing. The Pro Acryl's fairly got a good consistency right out of the bottle as well. You don't have to do a whole lot of work to get those paints in good order. All right. Duncan hasn't started whispering too thin coats in their ears at night yet. True. True. visitation by the ghosts of painting past, present, and future. So would that be Duncan Rhodes, Mike McVeigh, and Dave Taylor? I like that. That's an interesting visual there, Midril. All right, you know what I think I'm going to go ahead and do? I think I'm going to go ahead and do a dry brush with the final highlight color because this stuff does tend to dry up pretty quickly, so that's good. And I'm going to be using the same dry brush that I have here. And we're going to use the Pale Green 09012 from Reaper Master Series paint. And we'll get that out. It's got a nice highlight. There's some yellow in there, but it's still in the blue side of the green range. So we'll take out quite a bit of that moisture. The trick to dry brushing, and one of the bad things about using paper towels for dry brushing is it does kind of suck out the moisture a little bit too much. So you'll need so really one of the better things to use for dry brushing is more of a clay-based, glossy magazine sort of a surface. It's good. It's good because it absorbs paint out, but it doesn't take a lot of. It's a good way to rub paint off, but it doesn't take a lot of the moisture out with it because it's sealed. So, glossy magazine pages work really good. So I'm trying to get just the highest high points above the last color that I used here with this. I don't want to obscure that transitional color in the middle there. So I'm just going even lighter. Just lighter, just even lighter. Lighter touch. Instead of going over it 2 or 3 times, just kind of hit it once. Now face, I might go a little bit brighter. But dry brushing is one of those things that you learn as a basic skill, I think. And as we progress through our hobby, sometimes we leave dry brushing aside, and that is probably not the best thing to do because it is very much a viable method to use. It really does reap great results. So but I'm just trying to get that out on the highest edges there. I don't want it to overpower that mid-tone. There's a couple places I think I might have, like right here. I think I might have overpowered the mid-tone just a little bit. But I can always go back to it and redo it because the paint is thin. But there's no way you can mess it up, really. It's just paint. If you don't like it, you can change it. There are no paint ninjas that are going to come to your house and punish you for anything. They there's no grading scale, and I think a lot of people are intimidated to even try doing artwork or anything artistic because they've been kind of beaten up in school because of it, because of overbearing art teachers and the like that, for whatever reason, make them think that they're not doing it right or they're wrong or the like. There are this is just you and the paint. Nothing 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 too technical. Nobody's judging you. Although sometimes people can get judgy online, I will say that. But a lot of times the people that are judgy online, they really are coming from a place of they want you to improve. They're just so, well, they're kind of bold about it sometimes. And the other problem is, well, some of the worst advice I always see online is thin your paints. Well, what does that actually mean? You know, what exactly is that supposed to mean? You know, because sometimes you don't really want your paints too thin. Sometimes you just have a bad picture and it makes it look like the paint is too thick. Sometimes you just have a figure that has soft detail and it just looks weird. Pictures are not always the most um, accurate online, especially if you take them with a mobile device. Although you can take very good pictures with a mobile device. A lot of my pictures I take with mobile device, with a tablet, in fact. So, but definitely try to be encouraging. What's the old adage? If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. So, maybe some of us need to remember that, you know. All right. Hey, Midril, thanks for stopping in and have a good stream. We'll check you out later on. All right, buddy? I will do my best to have a good night. You too. All right. So here we are. Here we are doing the thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up to paint the wings. And there's more that I need to do here, like these armor plates and this fin. A lot more I could do on the face, but I think it's good to take a break from the dry brushing for right now. Lots of claws, lots of details yet to do. So. Lots of little details. So we're going to work on some of the bigger ones here. I think I'm going to try to do much like I did with the blue dragon. I think what I want to do is I want to try to do a gray to black transition on the wings. So that's going to be an interesting one. So we're going to just do the wet blending. We'll do some more wet blending. And yeah, so that's what we're going to try. Try wet blending on the wings. So we're going to go from black to gray, light gray. So that's the plan. So we'll take some black. Take some black. There we go. Take a little medium gray. We'll take some of that right there. And we'll just do this. Load up that black right here. I'll take some of this medium gray right here. And we'll mix the black into the medium gray right there. Want to kind of get right in this area here. Black there. Consistency is going to be my worst enemy right here on this large area here. Consistency is my biggest enemy. that's a large area to cover right there. So so that's a little bit of wet blending there, like that. Some inconsistencies in there, but it's not bad. Not bad. Could be worse. I could just not try at all, but and that'd be really worse than anything. That's really the only bad thing you could do in this hobby is not try at all. Push yourself. Don't be afraid to push yourself to try new things. I know myself, there were so many things I didn't try just because I was trying to accomplish other things that, you know, that's just one of those things. It's just try new things. If it's a method or a technique that you aren't too much doesn't really make you happy with the result, if you don't feel like you can get it, that's fine. Don't do it. Don't waste time with it. Do something else. Do another. Try something. Try another method that might be more rewarding to you and more worth your time. There's nothing that says you have to use non-metallic metal or wet blending to get your results. There are the best results are the ones that you want, the ones that make you happy with this particular with your chosen process. There's nothing that says you have to do it like me or like anybody else. There is no way to get your there is no wrong way to do it. The only wrong way is to not do it. I do hope you will try new things, try new methods and approaches to your hobby. You may learn that you really enjoy a particular process or a particular method. I'd always heard about wet blending, but I'd never tried it until some time ago. And I found out that for large surfaces like this, I really do like it very much. And it really pays off in the results until you add too much water and start rubbing away the work you've already done. So I don't want to do that. So I'll let that dry and then come back to it so that I don't mess it up. Same thing right there. There I go messing it up now. So if you think you're messing it up, you probably are. But just work with it, wait for a minute or two, and I'm trying to avoid. You see how this is starting to have a weird hard line there? I'm trying to avoid that. So trying to get a little bit more of a gradient, a slow gradient in there. And if it winds up being a little lighter overall than what I originally intended, I'm actually okay with that too. So the reason I'm having a little trouble right here, I think, is because I'm trying to go too fast. Trying to do too much all at once. So that's not good. And that's where I'm running into trouble. I'm not being patient. Sometimes, you know what they say, patience is a virtue. So let's be virtuous in our approach to our hobby. See right there? I completely really messed up now. I should have let that sit and dry. Now I've got to go and figure out that blend again. But it does give me an idea. What if I do some spots on this after I do the wet blending? What happens? What if I do spots? Some interesting little spots on these wings. What would happen there? Would that be pretty cool looking? It might. I don't know. It might be really nifty to add some spots on these wings. It's okay if I do this even wet blending in a couple of thinner coats. It's okay. Always just I know what I did, so I should be able to mimic it and enhance it and make it even better if I just be patient. So like right here needs a little more black. So we'll just add that. We'll just add a little more black right there. Just take that over here and do that. Get a good mix in there. I don't know if it's turning out good or bad. And as long as I work in thin coats, it's going to be okay. gonna be okay. So we'll let that dry up a little bit before we attack it again. So over here needs a little bit more of a darker color. Mix that down in here like this. We'll just let this thing do its job. So I've got too much of a, I don't have enough of a gradient right here, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a real blendy gradient, smooth, buttery smooth gradient. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to stop messing with that wing, and I'm going to go on to the next wing. Same thing, go along the top here. Might add some green spots in there just to kind of bring that green dragon skin back into play. Because if you actually look at this, you can see where the green skin stretches over onto the actual wings there. So maybe a green wash afterwards could possibly, maybe even green speed paint would be not wrong. I don't know. That's a possibility. You can do a lot of really neat things with the green speed paint. But these transitions are getting ruined because I'm adding too much. I got too much water on there, so go back to here. Bring a little bit of that green brown black in here. Gray black, sorry. Get in there. That black in there. And bring it down. I want to work to the outer edge to where it thins down towards the gray. I'm really not looking for a consistent color. I'm looking for a gradient. So, because I don't want it to be, I don't want these wings to look stripy, right? So that's the plan. All right. So speaking of photography, of miniatures photography, um, next week on Tuesday night on Build Paint Play, they are going to be interviewing an excellent miniatures photographer. Can't recall his name right offhand, sorry. But he must be pretty good if he's going to be on Dave Taylor and Jake Krajewski's show. So check him out. Check out that show. Give them a subscribe over there on the YouTube. That's Build Paint Play with Jake Krajewski and Dave Taylor. Definitely make them part of your regular hobby viewing. They're if you enjoy the hobby, if you like learning about the hobby and some of the interesting things that are going on in it. Now, they don't spill any tea by any means, but not generally. So you're not going to get any dirt or you know, the usual whining about Games Workshop stuff, generally speaking. They have a lot of fascinating guests on there. Tonight they had Charity Edwards, who is in charge of a lot of the hobby classes at Adepticon. So they talked to her about her upcoming lineup and how she does what she does for the Adepticon organization, as well as I think she works with Las Vegas Open and who else? So LVO and whoever else she works with. Adepticon. I'm not sure who else she might work with, but all right. I'm adding too much water and too much paint, and I'm just getting it all messed up right there. So again, if you find that you're having trouble or you're scrubbing away your work that you've already done, stop. Let it dry and come back to it. This is You don't have to be really patient to do this hobby by any means, but you do have to know when to take a break. Sometimes the paint will let you know that it's time to take a break. The paint will tell you, hey man, you're working me too hard, you're doing too many things, you're trying to do too much at one time. Why don't you back off for a minute and let me do my job? And yeah, that's what sometimes you have to listen to the paint. As Kenny Boucher likes to say, respect the paint. And as odd and as kind of a funny saying that is, Kenny's right. Sometimes you have to respect the paint so that it will do. If you respect the paint, it will do the things you are asking it to do. So I have to let some of this dry up and probably want to not mess with this particular model anymore this evening because those are large areas and I'm going to be flipping this around to do some more work. So I should probably set this aside for the time being. So just getting some wet blending going on there. And yeah, it's once it's dry, it's looking a bit better. But over here, it's not really very consistent. So it's a little too dark in this area. So I want to have everything kind of consistent. I don't want it to be in bands. I don't want it to look like there's just stripes on it. But it needs to be a clean, consistent gradient from the trailing edge to the leading edge, right? So this leading edge right here, this is probably going to be black. I may do a little bit of gray right there, just where it's stretched a little bit tighter right in this elbow area. But for the most part, the leading edge is going to be black, maybe blackish green. Something similar to those heavy armor scales on its back, which that's going to change up just a little bit too. So that gray-green is kind of neat. But when I was dry brushing, I was getting a lot of that bright green, so it looks like it's worn off when it isn't. So I need to make these look a little bit more like fingernails. So think of how a fingernail looks. If you look at a fingernail, you'll see there's all sorts of little striations in it as it grows out. Your hair does the same thing. So I want these armor plates back here to kind of have the same thing. Much like, let me show you, let me do this. Let me show you what I'm talking about with this Tyranid here. So here's a Tyranid hive tyrant that I'm working on. And you can see how I've kind of made it these striations right out towards the end of where it's been growing. So that's kind of the plan right there. So and especially like down here, see how I kind of feathered those off, and so they're kind of coming out, edge highlighting on that part, but then you see how right here, for example, it kind of feathers off. Same thing here, it kind of feathers off. Now these are not really feathered off by any means. They're a little bit more straight and more stripy, striation like. But that gives you an idea of the effect that I'm going to go for on those armor plates on the dragon there. So I think that's good. All right, we've got another 45 minutes to go, but I'm trying to get over a cold here, so I'm thinking I'm going to go to bed early tonight. So if that's okay with everybody, if you're out there watching, I could do a little bit more on this toilet mimic, but I'm at a place where I really don't know what I want to do with it at the moment. And I'm telling you, I'm just a little bit tired, a lot tired, just fighting getting over being well, or fighting over getting sick. So I think what I may do is I may just go ahead and sign off for tonight, and hopefully I'll be able to get to work tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see about that. So anyhow, let's go ahead and see who there is out here. First of all, I want to say good night to YouTube. So good night to YouTube. And we're going to go over here and say good night to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the stream. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed yet, by all means, hit that subscribe button. But if you watched, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. So we're going to say good night to YouTube. And then we're going to go and raid somebody here on Twitch. So ending YouTube. Good night, YouTube. And Twitch, let's go over